History remembers kings, generals, and conquerors. But it often forgets the men who started with nothing, the men who looked at total devastation and saw an opportunity to rebuild. In the 5th century BC, the ancient city of Jerusalem lay in ruins. Its giant walls were smashed to gravel. Its gates were burned to ashes. The people left behind were broken, impoverished, and humiliated by surrounding rivals. To the world, Jerusalem was a dead city, a place beyond repair. But its ultimate transformation wouldn't come from a warrior or a billionaire. It would come from a man hiding in plain sight. His name was Nehemiah. He wasn't a prince. He wasn't a soldier. He was a cupbearer, a high-stakes servant whose sole job was to taste the king's wine and ensure it wasn't poisoned. On paper, Nehemiah lived in comfort inside the Persian royal court of Susa. But in reality, he had no status, no power of his own, and no personal legacy. He was an employee in a golden cage, completely dependent on the whim of a foreign monarch. Then, news reached him from his homeland. The ruins were worse than ever, and his people were living in utter misery. When you reach rock bottom, or when you realize you're living far below your true potential, you face a choice. You can accept the status quo, or you can undergo a radical internal shift. Nehemiah spent days in fasting and solitude. He confronted his own powerlessness and made a silent vow. He would no longer accept being just an observer of ruin. He decided to transform his mindset, his presence, and his entire destiny. He was going to stand up and rebuild what everyone else considered impossible. In the ancient Persian court, showing sadness before the king was punishable by death. You were expected to smile and serve. But Nehemiah knew that if he wanted a different life, he had to change his posture immediately. When he stepped before King Artaxerxes, his demeanor was entirely different. He didn't cringe. He didn't beg. He spoke with absolute clarity, vision, and unshakable authority. Surprised by this sudden shift in presence, the king asked, "What is it that you request?" Nehemiah didn't ask for a minor favor. He asked for authority, royal security escorts, and full access to the king's timber forests to rebuild a city. This is the power of shifting your presence. When you step up with absolute conviction, the world makes way for you. The king didn't just grant Nehemiah permission. He gave him royal letters, military commanders, and unlimited resources. The former cupbearer left the palace not as a servant, but as the newly appointed governor. He had created wealth, leverage, and backing out of thin air, purely through his willingness to step into a higher version of himself. When Nehemiah arrived in Jerusalem, he didn't boast. Under the cover of darkness, he rode around the smashed walls alone, assessing the true scale of the work. But as soon as he announced his plan, the critics arrived. Local warlords named Sanballat and Tobiah began mocking him publicly. They laughed and said, "Even if a tiny fox climbs on that wall, it will collapse." Whenever you decide to upgrade your life, create wealth, or build something great, the world will send doubters. They will mock your vision because your ambition exposes their complacency. Nehemiah's response to the haters was legendary. He didn't waste a single second arguing with them. Instead, he organized the people like a military machine. He posted guards along the perimeter and gave a famous order. Every single worker built the wall with one hand while holding a weapon in the other. They worked from sunrise until the stars appeared. Nehemiah stood on the highest point, blowing a ram's horn to direct the defense whenever danger approached. He proved that true leadership is about protecting what you are building while you build it. Desperate to stop him, his enemies sent messengers inviting Nehemiah to a neutral site for negotiations, a trap designed to assassinate him. Nehemiah sent back an iconic response that every ambitious person should memorize. "I'm doing a great work and I cannot come down. Why should the work stop while I leave it and come down to you?" 4 times they tried to distract him, and 4 times he refused to lower his standards to meet them. Focus is your ultimate superpower. Never step down from your mountain to argue with people in the valley. What had been lying in ruin for over a century, what experts and enemies declared totally impossible, was completed in just 52 days. 52 days of relentless execution, unshakable poise, and master strategy. When the surrounding nations saw the completed wall, the Bible records that they lost their courage. They realized that this was not just human effort, it was driven by a force far greater than they could comprehend. With security restored, economic prosperity exploded. Jerusalem transformed from a ghost town into a thriving global trading hub. Nehemiah, who began as an unknown servant, was now one of the most respected and wealthy leaders in the region. But unlike corrupt rulers, he refused to tax the poor. Instead, he fed hundreds of people daily at his own banquet table out of his earned wealth. He didn't just build a wall. He built an empire of respect, stability, and lasting abundance. Nehemiah's transformation proves a universal truth. You are never stuck where you started. You don't need a fortune, high status, or permission to rewrite your life. You need a decision. You need the courage to change your presence, the discipline to build with one hand while defending with the other, and the focus to say, I am doing a great work, and I will not come down. Look at your own life today. What ruined walls are you ready to rebuild? If this story inspired you, hit the like button, subscribe for more powerful deep dives, and drop a comment below telling us what great work you are building right now.